"You're not man enough to handle my sexual past," she said, bragging about sleeping with 47 men. So I walked out, and she's been calling me insecure ever since while begging to come back. I swear I didn't even react at first, because I thought she was joking the way she leaned back on the couch, swirling her wine like she was making some dramatic confession for a reality show, instead of talking to the guy who trusted her enough to plan a life with her. Her name is Alyssa. We'd been together a little more than 2 years, and I'd always known she had a past, because who doesn't? But she never talked about it in detail. Not until that night. And even then, she didn't bring it up like a conversation. She brought it up like a challenge. We were sitting in my apartment in Denver, lights dim, takeout containers still open on the table, the remains of a pretty normal evening. We'd spend the day running errands, laughing about nothing, arguing playfully about which laundry detergent smelled less like chemicals. Everything felt normal until it suddenly wasn't. She made this offhand comment about how she used to make really stupid decisions in her early 20s, and I nodded because same, and then instead of elaborating like a normal person, she raised her chin and said like she was dropping an Uno reverse card. "I slept with 47 guys before you." I remember blinking twice because my brain stalled trying to process the sudden sharp turn the night had taken. I never asked for a number. I genuinely didn't care about her past unless it affected our present. What got me wasn't the number. It was a weird, almost proud way she said it, waiting for a reaction like she wanted to watch me flinch. So I said the calmest thing I could think of. "Okay, why are you telling me like it's a dare?" She smirked, and I'll never forget the way she crossed her legs and leaned back like she had just proven some twisted point. "Because most guys can't handle a woman who's actually lived," she said. "But you're different, or at least I thought you were." And then she looked at me with this evaluating glare, like she was trying to see whether I'd crack. I wasn't offended. I was confused. Confused and honestly disappointed that she suddenly turned something personal into a weird power play. I tried to lighten the mood by asking why she brought up like that, but instead of answering, she snapped, "You look uncomfortable." Wow, I knew it. "You're not man enough to handle my sexual past." She said it with this dismissive little laugh that made my chest feel tight, because it was so unnecessary, so combative, so intentionally humiliating. I wasn't uncomfortable about her past. I was uncomfortable about the way she weaponized it. Something shifted in me right then. Not anger, not jealousy. Something quieter. Something final. A line between us had been crossed. And not because she had history, but because she clearly enjoyed using that history to hurt me. I stood up slowly. She immediately straightened, confused. "Where are you going?" she asked. Her voice wavered like she hadn't expected me to move. "Home," I said, even though I already was home. What I meant was, "I'm going somewhere you can't follow." She scoffed, thinking it was some dramatic gesture. "Seriously? You're being ridiculous. It's just a number." "It's not the number," I said, grabbing my jacket. "It's the way you said it, like it was supposed to make me feel small." She rolled her eyes so hard I could practically hear the friction. "God, you're so insecure." That was the last thing she said before I walked out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even sigh. I just left. I stayed with my friend Evan that night. He didn't even ask questions. Just handed me a beer and turned on the TV. Around midnight, my phone lit up with the first message. Then 5 more. Then 15. Alyssa blowing up my phone with everything from, "I can't believe you're being this dramatic," to, "You should be proud you're the last one," to "Answer me right now," to "I'm sorry, okay?" The next morning, she left a 7-minute voice message crying about how she didn't mean it like that she was just drunk, that men always judge her for her past, and she thought I would too, so she defended herself first, which didn't make any sense, but I understood the root of it. She was scared. But fear doesn't excuse cruelty. I ignored her messages for 2 days while I tried to make sense of how the girl who used to curl up against me at night and whisper that she finally felt safe could suddenly talk to me like an enemy she had to defeat. On day 3, she showed up at my job. I work at a software company downtown. She came into the lobby crying, makeup smeared, apologizing loudly enough that security had to ask her to calm down. She said she didn't mean what she said, that she loved me, that she was scared of losing me, that she'd only brag about her past because she felt judged even when I wasn't judging her. I took her outside so she didn't make a scene and said gently, I wasn't upset about the past, but you used it to hurt me. She froze like no one had ever said that to her before. Then she said, I only said it because I thought you were going to leave me eventually. I always get left. And hearing that made something click. Not reconciliation, but understanding. Alyssa wasn't proud of her past. She was ashamed of it. And instead of dealing with that shame, she used it as armor, a shield she sharpened until it cut people before they could get close enough to hurt her. But being in a relationship means you don't get to cut the person who loves you and then say it was self-defense. I told her I needed space. She cried harder, begged harder. When I didn't budge, she switched tactics and called me insecure again. When that didn't work, she tried posting passive-aggressive quotes on her Instagram story like, real men accept real women, and if he can't handle your past, he doesn't deserve your future. I didn't respond. Meanwhile, mutual friends started texting me saying she was telling people I left her because she wasn't pure enough, which is hilarious considering I've never cared about that in my life. Eventually, she realized the manipulation wasn't working and went back to begging. She left letters at my door. Long ones, rambling ones, tear-stained ones. She texted Evan asking him to let me talk to my soulmate. She even sent flowers to my mom because she thought that would help. It didn't. My mom called me with a very confused, who is Alyssa and why is she apologizing to me? The truth is I did miss her. Not the version from that night. The version from 4, the girl who laughed with her whole body, who made TikTok recipes with me at 1 a.m., who wore my hoodies even when she had her own, who used to trace circles on my arm because she said it grounded her. I love that version. But that version also chose to attack me instead of trusting me. And once you show someone you're willing to hurt them to protect your ego, you can't take that back with tears. About 2 weeks after I left, Alyssa asked to meet just to talk. I agreed, mostly for closure. We met in a park. She looked small sitting on that bench in her oversized sweater, eyes puffy, voice quiet for the first time in a long time. She said, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. I didn't want you to think less of me. I didn't want to feel like a mistake. Something in me softened, not toward getting back together, but toward the realization that she wasn't evil, just broken in ways she refused to face. I told her I didn't think less of her. I told her I wasn't judging her past. And then I told her the truth she didn't want to hear. But you used something vulnerable to you as a weapon against me, and that's not something I can unfeel. She cried. She begged. She held my hands like they were the last things keeping her anchored. But I didn't budge, because love without respect is slow poison. And I felt the first drop. When I stood up to leave, she whispered, Is there anything I can do? I shook my head. Just heal, I said. She nodded like she understood, even though her eyes said she didn't. I walked away. She didn't follow. She didn't yell. She just watched me go with the realization settling in her expression that I wasn't leaving out of insecurity. I was leaving because I finally respected myself more than her approval. Weeks passed. She tried a few more times to reach out, but eventually stopped. Last I heard, she's in therapy, which honestly makes me relieved because she needed it long before I ever entered the picture. As for me, I'm good. Better than good. I feel lighter, clearer, more at peace. Because the truth is this, you can survive someone's past. You can't survive someone who uses it to punish you. And I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I just hope she figures out how to stop swinging before she loses the next person who tries to love her. And maybe that's the real ending here. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just two people who want to love each other, but didn't know how to meet in the middle without drawing blood. I walked away and she let me, not because she wanted to, but because somewhere deep down she knew this time the wound was one she caused. And some losses you don't get to negotiate. Some losses you just sit with until the truth stops burning.